Donc l'année 2014 aura effectivement
2014 has been very busy for us, for our different products at our main events.
Et sur nos événements.
Let's start with the MÉGANE Trophy, and the MÉGANE Trophy are two special editions that we put on the market mid-year. It led us to score a new lap record at the Nürburgring. 7:54 is a fantastic performance.
Donc une excellente performance.
We are the 15th of May, 7:15 a.m. You're about to drive the track's 20 kilometers with one challenge in mind, to drive a qualifying lap.
Your objective is to get under 8 minutes.
Did you have a warm-up lap before? Because it all depended on one lap.
Yeah, we didn't have ideal conditions, so I needed to do a warm-up lap to get the tyres warm. The way it was, and this bit was very demanding for the chassis. You need to get the chassis as balanced as possible to get through the series of corners.
Qui demande d'avoir le moins de sous-virage possible. Il y a des gros freinages.
Have as little understeer as possible. There's a lot of braking, and you go from right to left. It's about getting the balance right, and the suspension and the shock absorbers need to do their job.
Why is this track so difficult? One call it the green hell, lots of corners, really quick parts and sharp turns.
Oui, donc effectivement, il y a beaucoup de virages.
Yeah, there are a lot of different sorts of corners here. This is a slower section, and then we get into a really quick section. We're coming up to Flugplatz, and the car's moving around a lot. When it accelerates, you have to get out of here at 190 kilometers per hour or so, and then there's a quick right-hander. You have to get out well, because there's a straight then, and you go up to 245 kilometers an hour. And then there's a very fast left-hander, 210 kilometers per hour, and then a lot of braking. This is very important too, because afterwards, going down, there's a long straight. You need to be as quick as you can to get into this straight. This bit here is very demanding for the driver as well as the car. Now there's a lot of braking here, some climbing. The car needs to absorb all of the shocks here. And now to a sinuous, twisty portion. And it's all about the balance again. Very tight corners here. Now to a quick portion into fifth, almost flat out, and then braking in fourth with a sweeping left-hander. Now one of the most difficult portions of the circuit. The car tends to go towards the outside, and you need to get the best trajectory possible in order to have the best traction possible. This is one of the hardest bits of the track, the left-right. Go a bit up onto the curb, and the car is balanced from right to left, and then here's a triple right-hander. This is one of the slowest parts of the track. You go down into second gear. Traction is important, because you need to get out of it well. And then up into third, fourth, and even up into fifth. We get up to the Adenauer Bridge. Braking and down through the gears. You can either go into fourth or into third. I decided to go into third.
How did you get your bearings all through the track? Do you know approximately the time you were doing? No one gives you any information about that?
I had no information at all about the intermediate times on the pitch. I knew a bit more about the speed. I knew just about what speed I needed to come out of each corner. That was really the only indication I had doing the lap. There's a long climb. You think it's never going to end. And you have to get out of that well, because after that there's a right-hander. You need to be as quick as possible as you can.
Now
into the Müller curve. Really hard to negotiate this one. You're in fifth. There's just a little bit of braking to do here. And you have to re-accelerate as quickly as possible. Getting up to around 190 kilometers per hour here. On the outside, you go over the curb a bit. This is a tricky section again. Up onto the curb, a lot of braking. Very tough, the braking here, even if it doesn't look like it. But accelerating out is very hard. And now the very famous carousel, braking in third, and then into a left-hander, a crazy left-hander, very demanding of the chassis and the suspension and the driver, and you have to get out of it as well as possible. Now another twisty section, and it's here that the problems start for me, because there's not a lot of grip here. We're fighting with the steering wheel, a lot of oversteer. Now into Whipperman, and a lot of oversteer.
Lose some tenths of seconds.
Yeah, maybe I lost a few tenths there. And now climbing up onto the curbs. Yeah, I think a few tenths were lost here, and I tried to compensate for that in other parts of the track. This portion is very difficult too. Not a lot of grip. Had to concentrate here into fourth gear. We're looking for the grip and to have as much speed as possible coming into the corner.
What are you saying to yourself at this moment? You realize you've done a mistake, you have lost some times, now I need to make it up?
Yeah, I made a little mistake and I knew that I had to take a few more risks than usual. I wanted to go as quickly as possible and take a few risks to make up for that mistake in Whipperman.
And still you had no clue of the time you were setting.
This is a really tough bit. 210 kilometers per hour. Right, left. Balanced a bit from the right towards the left, and the car goes up onto the curbs. A lot of braking in fourth. And then trying to get to the inside. In fourth here, up onto the curb, and now into the small carousel. Tough for the driver, tough for the car, tough for the suspension. It's one of the most important corners on the entire circuit, because it decides what's going to happen on the entire straight afterwards. You really got to be quick here, stay on the inside and get into the fifth gear and up onto the curb on the exit. I tried to compensate for the few tenths that I lost at Whipperman here over the final phase. It's the fastest spot on the circuit, 254 kilometers per hour. Downhill stretch into a left, and then a succession of corners, and it's here that you can try to make the difference. I took as many risks as possible during the time lap. I was flat out here around about 220 kilometers per hour. That was very tough because of the braking you have to do and going down into third gear.
Tell us some figures about your lap. How many times do you reach maximum speed? What is the average speed?
The top speed 254 kilometers per hour, the average speed about 158.
You know this track by heart. Was it a good lap for you?
It was more than decent, my lap. I had to cope with the track conditions. I think the small mistakes I made and a little bit of time that I lost, well, I think I made up for it elsewhere on the track, and I think it was a decent lap, and we can be proud of what we achieved.
Côté événements,
in terms of events, we've done a lot for our Renault Sport clients with the Journées Passion. All our customers are invited for a track day to share their passion. They can come with their own vehicle and improve their driving skills. They have professional drivers giving them all the advice necessary.
Leur conduite sont encadrés dans des conditions de sécurité optimum et ils peuvent découvrir tout le potentiel de leur voiture.
Conseil que je peux essayer de donner, c'est d'utiliser le moins possible le volant, de moins tourner fort le volant, d'essayer de rester toujours sur des angles très proches de 45 degrés d'angle volant maximum pour essayer toujours de conserver le plus possible de train avant. Et bien entendu de céder du frein à main pour faire pivoter la voiture, des transferts de charge. Les ESP sont vraiment développés à part entière dans ces conditions-là. Et donc, au contraire, il faut vraiment rester connecté sur le mode que vous souhaitez, bien sûr, le mode normal ou le mode sport. Et vous verrez que le système va vraiment prendre la main sur vous. Il va vraiment vous aider à tourner, va freiner la voiture s'il y en a besoin, va réduire votre couple moteur si vous en avez besoin pour éviter les phénomènes de glissement. Donc, il faut vraiment conserver ces aides à la conduite. C'est très sécuritaire sur route ouverte.
Scotland was the venue for an important moment in the history of Renault Sport. Renault chose the Scottish Rally around in the British Rally Championship for a first race conditions test of the new CLIO R3T. It's in Dumfries, situated 120 kilometres south of Glasgow, that the Renault Sport team is putting together the final preparations before the big off. Before taking on the Scottish forests, the car was entirely revised after a final testing session on the eve of the rally. And now it's time to get the final setup honed. The history of Renault Sport is long. It started in 1973 with a first World Constructors' Championship title with the Alpine. Since then, the French manufacturer has been ever present in the discipline and has developed a strong attachment to its competitive client base.
C'est l'expression de l'ADN de Renault Sport.
This is the expression of the DNA of Renault Sport. The whole team worked a lot on the competition client side in coming up with and constructing a car that's simple to use, simple to maintain, and is much more cost-effective than previously.
Facile à entretenir et qui coûte beaucoup moins cher que précédemment à exploiter.
After the success of the Clio 3 R3, with more than 380 vehicles sold worldwide, Renault Sport has the ambition of doing just as well, if not even better, with the new model, the Clio R3T. We've already got the pre-orders. We were limited to 20 cars for homologation purposes. These 20 were already pre-ordered. In the first year, the objective is to sell 40.
La première année, l'objectif est d'en vendre 40.
There was an 8-year wait before Renault Sport Technology gave birth to the Clio R3T, their new weapon that's ready to clean up in two-wheel drive competition and which has a near identical look to the Clio RS 200 EDC, except that under the bonnet there are several differences. The Clio R3T's principal characteristic is the 1600 turbo engine. That's what separates it from the old Clio with its classic 2-litre engine. It's the R3T with the T for turbo. It's a two-wheel drive with competition fuel, 480 Newton meters, with wide-ranging uses. It's a vehicle which should be up front among the two-wheel drives. A number of partners have invested in the project, like Sodemo and RDM. When it came to the engine, and the Clio R3T has a SADEV gearbox and PFC brakes. Michelin provided its support for the tyres and Sachs for the suspension. And for the first time, the revision of the car is advised every 4,000 kilometres, a record which means it's got the lowest operating cost in its category. As for the price, it depends on the kit. In the asphalt version, €68,900 pre-tax, €70,500 for the gravel version. At the end of a development process started in October 2013, the big moment has finally come for Renault Sport Technology and the duo Jukka Kohonen, Marko Salminen to head off from the start line at Dumfries for the first special stage. As Britain is quite an important market for us, this allowed us to do a full rally and so to be present at the Scottish rally, which punctuates the end of our development process. For Jukka Kohonen, the reigning champion in the British Rally Championship, the first experience in race conditions was more than positive.
It's the easy car to jump to and to get the good feeling immediately, and there's a really powerful engine, and yeah, it's whole package. It's good.
Even if the Clio R3T isn't eligible to record a finish here, the team doesn't hide its objectives. They're going to look at the clockings all weekend long. The objective is to be in front of their main rival, the Citroën DS3 R3, and to achieve that goal, the whole team is working on the car. The Renault Sport Technology team is quite small in rally terms, but everyone involved is really passionate about rallying, from the design stage through to the engineers, the development team, the sporting and commercial wings. We're really a small team, but we try to run all our projects well, so that the clients are satisfied with the different products we offer. At the end of the Scottish Rally, the Finnish duo have taken on the 10 specials, almost 120 kilometres of time sections. Each kilometre counted for the team, as it allowed driver feedback in racing conditions. All the information harvested will be incredibly useful as the programme moves forward. For Jean-Pascal Jocu, the assessment of the first experience is overwhelmingly positive.
For
a first outing, we're very happy. The car lived up to all its promises. We had no mechanical issues, no technical problems. The driver is enchanted by the car. We know there are still lots of things to work on in terms of the setup. That said, it was still a beautiful first experience, and we're really happy to have come here. The next rendezvous is at Mont Blanc, there with an asphalt version, so things will be subtly different. On September the 5th and 6th, the CLIO R3T took to the French asphalt for the first time in competition. As well as the official car, 3 other CLIO R3Ts also took the start. To face up to this new challenge, the Renault Sport team called on Quentin Gilbert, a young driver he's already experienced and has competed in several WRC events. He took his job of official driver to heart. The sensations are good, and this car has been well conceived, that's for sure. There's everything you need here in order to feel at ease in a race car. With the experience we have, we'll try to bring something to the entire team. And all weekend long, we'll be working with the engineers and mechanics. And I think that come the end of it, there'll be a really positive assessment.
Je pense qu'à la fin du week-end, le bilan sera vraiment positif.
Presented in its Earth version at the Scottish Rally, the asphalt version, retailing at €68,900 plus taxes, has several modifications. Yann Parenton, in charge of the development of the car, explains them. We've changed all of the liaisons with the ground, whether it's the shock absorbers or the springs or the underseal, etc. All of this is specific to the asphalt version. The car as a whole has been made lighter compared to the one that took part in the Scottish Rally, so we're at the lowest possible weight, that is to say 1,080 kilos. 4 CLIO R3Ts are running this weekend. We're here to help everybody progress with this car and understand the car. It's their first event with it. They have to understand the car, how it works and the setup, and we'll help them improve all of that.
Comprendre le setup de la voiture, et donc nous on va essayer de, on va les aider à améliorer l'ensemble de ces setups.
At the wheel of one of the CLIO R3Ts here this weekend is Jeremy Serriès. He's the best illustration of how Renault Sport enables drivers to move through the categories. The French Junior Rally champion of 2012 competed in R1, then R2, and now, this weekend for the first time, in R3, a new category which will take some time to adapt to. The car is a bit more imposing and the driving position is further back. Then the engine's more powerful, with a coupled engine. The Twingo is an atmospheric 1600 and you use them in totally different ways. At the start of the year, there were several opportunities out there, including one with Renault Sport, which allocated us the budget for the last 3 rounds of the French Championship. It was down to me to choose someone to prepare, and I didn't hesitate for a second in choosing Giselle, and I think everything will work out well. The verdict will come in the first Rallye du Mont Blanc specials. In testing, we can't be sure, but for now, things are going fine, and I feel good in the car. On the eve of the start of the event, we came across a Renault 5 in Calbusson colours. At its wheel, Jean Ragnotti. There's some history here. In 1980, the emblematic Renault driver won Mont Blanc at the wheel of this car. That year, he was victorious in 3 French Championship events and was crowned champion come the end of the season. Another driver entered this weekend capable of making the CLIO R3T shine is Emmanuel Guigou. Habitués of the French Rally Championship, his team Automaker have entered 2 new Clios, his and that of Fabiano Lofiego. It's a special weekend for the driver and team manager. Driving a new car is always a challenge. I've been lucky enough to drive all the Renault products from the Clio R3 Maxi to the Twingo R2, as well as the Megane N4 and now the Clio R3T. It's got a good feeling. It's quite agile and easy to drive. I'm confident, but the rally will have the final say.
Donc plutôt confiant, mais la course dira le reste.
The first day of the rally is composed of 95 kilometres of timed sections over 5 specials. Quentin Gilbert is the first to go in the Clio R3T. He's followed by Emmanuel Guigou, Jeremy Serriès and Fabiano Lofiego. The official Renault Sport driver is immediately up to speed and posts the 12th scratch time on the opening special. But on the second special, he makes a mistake and damages the left side of his car, losing 9 minutes. He is able to continue though. He's got one more special to do before the car can be repaired, and he gives it his all, getting the 13th scratch time and the 3rd quickest in the R3 category. The Renault Sport team gathers around the Clio R3T. The goal now is to punch hard, time section after time section. There are still 2 specials to come before the end of the first stage. Quentin Gilbert and Renault Jamoul post the 16th and 12th scratch times, enough to have a few regrets, even if the performance is there. Still, they continue to attack. As for the other teams using a CLIO R3T, things didn't exactly go according to plan. Jeremy Serriez went into a spin a few kilometres from the end of Special Stage 2. The Renault Sport driver is injured, suffering with a neck problem and not at 100% physically. Fabiano Lofiego is back in the French Rally Championship. Apart from the Rally Monte Carlo at the start of the season, he hadn't competed since 2008. He's getting back up to speed with things and getting used to the CLIO R3T. He finishes the day in 29th place. The top performer on the day was Manu Guigou. So comfortable with the new car, he puts together scratch times in the R3 category, regularly featuring in the top 10. At the end of the day, he's 9th in the general classification, and his nearest pursuer in R3, Cedric Robert, is 32 seconds behind. Saturday, the second day of the Rally Mont Blanc-Morzine, and 105 kilometres of timed sections to separate the entrants. Before attacking the 5 specials, Quentin Gilbert and the Renault Sport engineers fine-tuned the setup, using the data harvested the previous day.
Adapter des clics par rapport au ressort, ok. Donc tu me dis à la fin de la première si c'est bien comme ça ou pas. Ah ouais, ça va être. Donc là ça devrait.
Il y a 5 virages qui tournent un peu, mais où l'angle est.
Today's objective is clear: to make the CLIO R3T shine special after special. And even if it takes a while for the Renault Sport team to get going, it does start to come into its own from Special Stage 8 as the two men battle it out with Manu Guigou. Jeremy Serriez continues his apprenticeship in the R3, but he's out of luck and is forced to abandon after completing Special Stage 8. Fabiano Lofiego is up to speed now and is getting quicker special after special, even if he's not counting every second, and is making the most of enjoying the rally along with the spectators. Guigou was the standout competitor on day 1. He does exactly the same on day 2, leaving only 2 best times in the R3 category to his rivals. The CLIO R3T fits him like a glove. So well that at the finish line of the final special, he's managed an exceptional result.
Arrivé pour droite 140, c'est bon.
Bien joué.
C'est bien, bravo.
Bien joué.
To mark the first outing of the Renault CLIO R3T, the Guigou Moura team wins the R3 category and the two-wheel drive category and finishes 5th overall behind the WRCs. Quentin Gilbert and Renault Jamoul also cross the finish line. The assessment is very positive from Jean-Pascal Dos, competition director at Renault Sport Technology. We've done fantastically well, above and beyond what we'd hoped for. We knew we could do something good, but to have 7 scratches out of 10, to be 5th overall and top in the R category, well, that wasn't at all what we expected. We didn't think we were as ready as that. It's the first rally at which we've had several cars and we've been able to attack a bit. The rallies before this were just starters, really, to be treated delicately. The level of performance is where we expected to be a bit further down the line. The final assessment is very positive. The Renault CLIO R3T then, with a successful first outing in the French Rally Championship on the asphalt. More success will undoubtedly follow before the end of the current season and in the years to come. The Challenge Renault Sport started in March with the Rallye Pied du Gers. For the season finale, the drivers headed to the Vosges on September the 19th and 20th. 5 cars were presented and there was still 1 title up for grabs in the category R3 and 4. In the Challenge Renault Sport Series, Renault engineers are on hand every competition we can to help the drivers. Their work starts even before the racing begins.
Just before the
start of the 3rd special of the rally, given what you told me, you're going to get some info together to hand over to the drivers who take part in the rally. Yes, we're there for them. We'll look at everything together, take notes, and offer advice all weekend long.
Alors là,
I didn't know it, and I've just found out that the Renault Sport technical team send you out on reconnaissance missions, and you then share the info gleaned with the drivers. The advantage for the competitors in the Challenge Renault Sport is to benefit from, among other things, our technical support. We're here to offer advice on the various aspects, including how to adapt the car to the terrain. That's why it's really useful for us to share the same terrain with them. It allows us to find the right setups, and we share that with them. In my era, as we have more time for reconnaissance, it was open to us, and so we have more info. But here, even just going through 3 times, it's still good to give them additional information. Here I'm going to take notes. We've already done about 4 kilometers, and overall it's very tight, and there are a few bumps out there. Before the start of this final event of the season, the assessment of how the year has gone in the Challenge Renault Sport is very positive. Well, it has been a good year in the Challenge Renault Sport, with an average of 15 cars entered per round. Then there have been some great fights, whether in the Twingo R1, the Twingo R2, or the CLIO R3 Mégane N4. In 2015, we're going to move towards a CLIO R3T trophy. The race calendar will be decided within a few weeks, and we intend to have a trophy in France and one overseas. Not entered this weekend, but having already won the title the previous Sunday, William Pitot reflects on his season and what he expects from the Rallye du Var. Well, the previous season we set objectives which didn't go as we hoped. So this season we said we'd take it one rally at a time and we'd assess what was possible as things moved along. That's what we did. In the end, it was really at the midpoint of the season we said we've got a chance, we have to go for it. I'd never raced in a professional team, I'd always raced with my parents or friends helping me out. The Rallye du Var is going to be a great experience. We'll try to build to a crescendo through the rally and get a handle on the car. There are some top drivers entered, and so the level will be high, especially in the R3. Well, you've seen how the start of the rally went. Now I'm next the CLIO R3T that the 3 winners in the Challenge Renault Sport will get to drive in the Rallye du Var. On now to the racing from here. On the Friday evening, a night special, some 13 kilometres long. But the hardest elements are still to come. To get onto the podium, the drivers will have to contend with the 7 specials on the menu on Saturday. The only R1 competitor here and champion already since the Rallye du Pays de Saint-Rieu, Aurélien Lafont is here to get experience of roads he's never raced on before. At ease throughout the day, he naturally enough dominates the category until he makes a mistake on the penultimate special and is forced to abandon. In R2, there was nothing at stake this weekend as the name of the champion was already known. Franck Gravier, a driver from this region. He does excellently throughout the specials, finishing 16th in the general classification and 2nd in R2. Where there still is suspense is in the R3 and 4. With Laurent Lacourny an absentee, the title will be decided between Michael Redelet and Pascal Bérard. Bérard has a 9-point advantage. Redelet attacks from the off and puts some great times together. For a while, he's 6th in the general classification and 3rd in R3. Bérard puts in a controlled and consistent performance, in keeping with the way he's raced all season.
40 trottoirs, attention, 20 mètres, gauche à fond, 20 mètres.
The third CLIO R3 here is driven by Damien Stomfli. He finishes 18th overall. Everything changes in special stage 6 as the Redelet Chauffeur team makes a mistake. It's an error with massive consequences as his rally finishes right here. So Bérard father and son have a clear road to the title. They finish 11th overall and 4th in the R3 class.
Gauche 130 cordes, 10 mètres, barrière blanche gauche 125 sur carrefour droite 80.
I've been competing in rallies for 30 years, 25 of those at the wheel of a Renault. So for me this was the biggest challenge of the year. I don't think we were the quickest car this season, but our consistency paid off as we finished all 8 of the rallies we entered. The car is reliable, we are too, and that's great. At the VAR, we'll be able to enjoy ourselves. We'll be driving a car which might be our future car, so we'll see later. So the Challenge Renault Sport comes to an end. The three winners are Aurélien Lafont in R1, William Pitot in R2, and Pascal Bérard in R3 and 4. The rendezvous has been set for a few weeks' time for the Rallye du Var at the wheel of the all-new CLIO R3T. In 2014, the Renault Sport Rally Challenge was hotly contested. There were three categories, the R1, the R2 and the R3 and 4, with the CLIO and the Mégane. The three champions were Aurélien Lafont, William Pitot and Pascal Bérard. They were invited to the VAR to test the new CLIO 4 R3T, the new rallying weapon which we've just launched. In 2015 there'll be a new format and we'll have several trophies. There'll be events in every country where the new car will be launched. In France, Italy and Belgium, for example. Some of the competitors will travel around the different countries to battle it out. And all the country champions will meet in a select and magnificent rally, the Monte Carlo 2016, and that's where the overall champion will be determined.
Tous les leaders des trophées nationaux vont se retrouver dans un rallye très sélectif, le Superbe Rallye de Monte Carlo 2016, et c'est ce rallye qui déterminera le champion des trophées de l'année prochaine.
Je voudrais parler de la CLIO RS.
I want to speak to you about the CLIO RS. We've got a limited edition with our partners, the Automobile Club of Monaco. It's a car that's been very visible in European countries, notably Italy, but also abroad, in Japan and in Australia. Monaco. When you utter the name, several things spring to mind, among them chic and glamour. Motorsports fans will also talk to you about Saint-Devote, the Lowe's hairpin, the tunnel and the swimming pool. It's a circuit which stands out for Formula One lovers. This year, Renault Sport wanted to bring everything together in the form of an elegant and sporty car. Here is the CLIO RS Monaco GP. In the name of the partnership that we established with the Automobile Club de Monaco some 25 years ago, we chose the Clio as it's at the same time the emblem of Renault and Renault Sport. It's a Monaco car because it follows in the footsteps of the limited edition Monaco GPs that were commercialised with the Mégane and the Laguna. It's an elegant range, sober but sporty. And the eyes are in for a feast, the mother of pearl tint, the black finish, very black in the case of the rear view mirrors, the wheel rims, the spoiler and F1 touches. We wanted to make this Clio RS the most beautiful of all the Clio RSs and the most beautiful of the Clios, full stop, elegant and sporty, but also a Clio that can be used in everyday life. To sum up, this car can do everything, and journalists from the world over got to test it out on site at the invitation of the Renault Sport team. A short briefing before taking the wheel, notably to explain the technical characteristics. The Clio RS has a 1.6-litre turbo engine producing 200 horsepower, a more sporty chassis than the basic Clio because the shock absorbers are more spring-loaded. The springs are stiffer, and that means it's dynamic and very effective.
Un comportement dynamique vraiment très efficace. C'est une voiture qui est bourrée de technologie.
There's so much technology on board that enables dynamic driving, which gives the client a lot of pleasure.
Beaucoup de plaisir aux clients de cette voiture.
And the client base is very international. Clients in 20 countries will be able to offer themselves a slice of Monaco and Renault Sport expertise, a marriage which greatly pleased the journalists on the testing day.
It's fun to drive. It's not so powerful that it's dangerous and risky, so nice and pleasant, easy going with a nice delivery of power.
It's a fast car, the chassis is very solid and I like that in general. There's maybe a small transmission problem, but apart from that, it's a perfect car. It's already time to hand over the keys to this rare car. Only 750 privileged people will be able to get their hands on this very limited edition Clio RS Monaco GP. Still integrated into the prestigious World Series by Renault, the EUROCUP CLIO promises to be even more hotly contested in 2014. More than 20 cars will be entered at each meeting. Only the talent of the drivers can make the difference, and Renault are to be congratulated for the ongoing success of a formula that's proved a winner for more than 40 years.
La CLIO Cup est très populaire.
The CLIO Cup is very popular in terms of national championships, and the EuroCup CLIO is there in order to bring the best drivers from each national championship together to take each other on prestigious circuits like here at Motorland Aragon, and we'll also go to the NÜRBURGRING, Jerez de la Frontera and Paul Ricard later on this year. What makes the championship successful is the match of the car and the driver, and there are many contenders.
Josh
Files had a great season last year. He also won the title in Britain. He's putting his EuroCup CLIO title back into play. He'll come up against some serious quality. There's the French champion Eric Tremoulet, the Italian champion Marchetti, and also Massimiliano Pedala, who finished second in the championship last year. It's very open and it will be very tight. And there are one or two others who could get themselves in amongst it as well. It will be great.
Venant ponctuellement venir jouer les troubles faits dans cette bataille.
And away we go for the first race of the 2014 season at the Motorland Aragon circuit. Josh Files with the best start, but Eric Tremoulet going well. Josh Files has now been overtaken. Eric Tremoulet, we're on board with him. He's in third position. Tremoulet thinking about an attack, looking for second place. He's just looking for an opening, but it's not coming for Eric Tremoulet. Plenty going on further down in the field. First race of the EuroCup CLIO season, and Tremoulet still hoping that he can improve on his third place. For now, nothing changing. Tremoulet really threatening Josh Files though. Tremoulet really trying to get into the slipstream. Oscar Noguez back in fifth place for now. Ascona leading. Josh Files second. Tremoulet third. Then Pedala. Into the downward section of the track as Noguez has picked up a position. And now Tremoulet having a pop at Files, and Tremoulet through. Oh, incredible stuff from Eric Tremoulet. I think Ascona went very wide there, and Tremoulet's taken the lead. Ascona Noguez is the big fight now. A battle between the two Spaniards for the third spot on the podium. In fifth, Martinez. Sixth is Pedala. Bit of oversteer from Eric Tremoulet. And Noguez. Oh, Noguez. Is he going to get into second? He is. And Noguez will fancy his chances. Oh, Noguez is going to hold second. He's got in front of Josh Files and has only Eric Tremoulet in front of him on the track now. Nogues always has his sleeves rolled up. Very easy to recognise him. Oh, a pile-up further down involving Marco and Polo. It's very closely fought racing, and that's why it's so tight. Now Nogues having a real crack at Eric Tremblay. He's got the inside line. And Josh Files fancying his chances of going through too. And Tremblay is down to second as Nogues takes the race lead. Mikel Ascona attempting to get third off Josh Files. Tremblay making signs at Nogues. Nogues, Tremblay, Ascona, Files in that order. Well, things changing now as Josh Files is third and overtaking Tremblay for second. The Briton up to second. Tremblay will now have his hands full with Mikel Ascona. Into the last 2 laps of the race, the first race of the EuroCup CLIO season. And the checkered flag for Oscar Nogues. The first win of the year going to Nogues.
Je vous présente un jeune pilote qui a.
I'm going to introduce you to a young driver who's nearly 25 years old. He's called Eric Tremblay. What do you like in the CLIO Cup?
Ce qui est bien dans la Coupe Clio, c'est qu'on est
there are between 30 and 40 cars. We've all got the same models, and only the drivers and the setup can make the difference. The races are very hotly contested and there's sporting equality. There are always 10 potential victors, so a lot of things happen in the races. There are so many battles. It's really good and the car performs really well. It's a small car, but one which works well. I was French champion last year and runner-up the previous year. I've been in the EuroCup twice and twice finished 5th, and this season I'd like to win it.
Donc cette année, j'aimerais bien arriver à la gagner. On a une structure familiale.
It's a familial structure, and it's my family and friends here. Everyone volunteers, and they come to help me every weekend. It's great to be with them at the races. In my career, I started with karting when I was 10, and we had quite a lot of good results. Financially, it was difficult for us to move towards single-seaters. So we turned to these cars, and it's a good alternative in order to enjoy oneself, to get noticed and to progress. There are a lot of drivers who have come out of the CLIO Cup and are now driving GTs or in much superior categories. My long-term objective is to progress. The WTCC and DTM are disciplines that make me dream. They're almost inaccessible. The idea is to get into those races in categories with bigger cars.
My name is Josh Files. I race in the Renault CLIO EuroCup this year. Last year I was CLIO EuroCup champion and UK CLIO champion as well. Before that I did 2 more years of CLIO UK championship and 2 years of historic racing. I only started racing when I was 18, so I'm a bit new to it still. It's probably one of the closest series probably in the world, to be honest, because all the cars are obviously the same. Obviously little bits of setup changes, but it just teaches you close racing, hard racing. All the guys are seriously quick, so it teaches you to really be patient and drive the car properly, because the slightest mistake turns into a massive time penalty on circuit. Team Pyro are the UK's best CLIO team, bar none. Probably one of the UK's best teams overall. They've got the best winning record. They've won over the last 7 years of CLIO Cup UK. They've won 6 years as a drivers' champion and 7 years as a teams' champion. I want to do Porsche Super Cup, ultimately to go and lead into Le Mans and endurance racing from there, world endurance racing. Something in maybe ALMS in America, or the sports car, United Sports Car Series. But one day I want to go do V8 supercars in Australia as well, because that just looks cool.
Files has a pressing engagement though with race 2 in the EuroCup CLIO. Josh Files, the 99, on pole. It's entirely dry now, the circuit, so everyone on the slick tyres. But a bad start there from Files. Eric Tremblay, who was alongside him on the front row, took advantage of that. On board with Josh Files, who ends up on the grass there after a bit of contact with the number 20. Oh, Files off again. Files needing big points here. Tremblay, Morgan, Noguez, Ascona pick up Pedala, the top 6. Josh Files 11th. Oh, Ronnie Marchetti out of the race. He must have rolled. You can see how damaged the roof of that car is. The safety car coming out. When the race was back on, the fight between Tremblay and those lining up behind him to take him on. 4 cars locked together. Tremblay going a bit wide there, but Noguez couldn't take advantage of that. Morgan 3rd, Ascona 4th. Well, Noguez has been patient here, biding his time, but this could be the moment as he goes to the inside and through he goes into the lead. Tremblay relegated to 2nd position. Noguez leading, Morgan still 3rd. Tremblay having a few problems with his brakes and he's barged out of the way. Morgan through, but Ascona through too, and Ascona seems to have got in front of Morgan too, but Ascona wide. And Morgan and Tremblay come through again. Oh, Pekka making the mistake over the grass. He'll get back into the race. Pedala as well. Well, massive oversteer. Well, it looks like the race is actually over for Pekka. As Tremblay is under pressure from Ascona. This for 3rd place, and Tremblay off the podium positions now. But 2 minutes from the end, plus the 1 lap after that, of course. Tremblay back into 3rd. Great battling qualities from the Frenchman. We're with Josh Files again. Just outside the top 5 at the moment. Oh, Files! Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Rolling his CLIO on the final chicane after the contact. It's a win for Noguez, his 3rd win in 4. He's a strong leader of the EuroCup CLIO 2014 series. While Files out of his car, he's okay. But this is probably the end of his hopes of retaining his crown in 2014. Noguez the win, Alex Morgan of Britain in 2nd, Eric Tremblay of France 3rd, Mikel Ascona of Spain 4th. Plenty of nationalities there in the top 10. Oscar Noguez saying, it was a difficult day for us. In the dry, we were pretty good compared to the others. In the rain, it was a different story and we had a lot of understeer. I've won 3 of the 4 races and I'm very happy. It reinforces my position at the top of the championship and I'm confident for the rest of the season. There's the podium for the second race, which was won by Nogues. Four drivers, only one can become the champion. Oscar Nogues, Mikel Ascona, Massimiliano Pedala and Eric Tremollet. The quartet have been fighting it out all season long. Le Castellet and Jerez will decide who will be the 2014 champion. Oscar Nogues, with his 3 wins and 80 points, is the favourite. He can't afford to take his rivals lightly though, as he knows that his luck can change. As far as I'm concerned, I respect every single one of my rivals. They are all very strong. Ascona is exceptionally quick and consistent. Despite his youth, over the last few races he's been extremely dangerous, and I'll keep a really close eye on him. Pedala is a very experienced driver. In general, he's good in qualifying. He's always dangerous, and in races he's capable of carving through the field. Tremollet is a big rival, as he's a specialist in this category and knows the car well. He's very fast and I'm very wary of him. Now I'm going to try to put in an error-free race. Well, Ascona has gone from strength to strength in the championship, well placed at Motorland and at Nürburgring. He knows he has to build on that. This weekend the objective is to score as many points as possible to stay in the title race. If I'm competitive here, then there's every reason to be hopeful at Jerez. This circuit is quick and suits me well, so I'm confident I'll be able to get good results in both races. After a stunning win on a drying Nürburgring, Pedala has come to Le Castellet full of confidence. Max, though, knows that his title chances are dependent on his rivals making mistakes. Everything is possible, but I think it will be really difficult. Oscar is a redoubtable opponent. He's been up in the leading positions in every race since the start of the season. I know it will be difficult to reproduce my Nürburgring race, as the dry conditions here don't favour me. I'm not entirely comfortable with the car in the dry, but I'll fight. Maybe this race could be a lottery, and I'll seize on every opportunity.
Però la gara è diversa, la gara poi bisogna lottare tutti e vediamo cosa esce.
Eric Tremollet is very busy this weekend. As well as being in the EuroCup, Eric is competing in the finale of the CLIO Cup France. He hopes his packed schedule won't play against him. He's competing at home, and his desire to do well is also apparent.
Ça me fait 4 courses dans le week-end.
It means 4 races this weekend, as I've the French Championship finale. It's quite difficult to control and stressful. It means a lot of precautions need to be taken when it comes to the mechanics. You also have to look at the car and make sure you forget nothing. We'll do what we need to do, as we've spent a lot of time on the French Championship. Parallel to that, I've got the EuroCup. I'm 3rd in the Championship with chances of winning it. I'm not neglecting it. We're spending a lot of time working on the cars, and that's quite tiring for everyone. Board with Nogues now in 3rd position. Ascona nudging in front of him. The 20 also going really well. And now Ascona attacking, and Ascona finding the way through at last. Tremollet relegated to 2nd. Tremollet forced to let Ascona through. Ascona very quick. We're on the last lap now. The checkered flag and the win for Ascona. Tremollet 2nd, Morgan 3rd, Pedala 4th, and Nogues managed to get back up to 5th there. On the starting grid for the first race, the number 56, Oscar Nogues, is on pole. He shares the front row with Eric Tremollet, his nearest challenger in the championship standings. Tremollet needing to do something. He wants to get his first win of the season in the EuroCup CLIO. We're on board with Ascona here. Nogues' fellow Spaniard, the number 14, making a very good start. Nogues leading from Ascona. Ascona already looking to try and get the race leadership here. Eric Tremoulet running into a bit of trouble. Tremoulet managing to get past Max Pedala. Nogues going a bit wide here. Ascona having a go. And Ascona should take the race lead here. He's got the inside line. The two Spaniards going at it, and Tremoulet also managing to get past Nogues and up into second. That's very important in terms of the championship. Well, Ascona pulling away. Tremoulet and Nogues second and third respectively now. Tremoulet going wide, making a mistake there. And Nogues back into second. Well, it didn't last long for Tremoulet, did it? Well, the safety car is out. It's because Ascarese has really damaged the front left of his car there. At the restart, Ascona leading from Nogues, then Tremoulet. Nogues right behind him now after the safety car. This is what happens as usual, and he's ready to attack. Nogues having a go now. Spotting the inside line. Excellent underbraking, Oscar Nogues, and reclaiming the race lead. The pole sitter out in front as he chases his 5th win of the season. Tremoulet still in third behind Ascona as we cut to the last lap now. Nogues going for the win, and when he takes the checkered flag, he'll become the 2014 EuroCup CLIO champion, his 2nd title. So Nogues, there we can see in the standings, cannot be caught by Eric Tremoulet now. Of course, I'm very happy and satisfied, says Oscar Nogues. It's the 2nd time I've been champion, following on from 2012. It has been an incredible year. I had to fight all season long, and it wasn't easy. I needed to be consistent and to fight in every race. I would like to congratulate my rivals, Pedala, Tremoulet and Ascona, who made life far from easy for me all season long. It was an excellent championship thanks to them. The starting grid of the 2nd race in the EuroCup CLIO Series at Jerez. 25 minutes plus 1 lap. Number 14 of Ascona on pole. Nogues is 2nd. And then it's Tremoulet. Pedala behind them. Well, Ascona leading from start to finish. He will finish the championship in 2nd position in the standings, with Tremoulet 3rd. The race win in the final race of the season to Mikel Ascona. Well done, though, to Oscar Nogues, the undisputed champion in the EuroCup CLIO 2014 season. Now know the 3 champions in the major disciplines of the World Series by Renault. They got together for a photo worth its weight in gold, with Carlos Sainz Jr. champion in the Formula Renault 3.5s, Nick de Vries winner of the Formula Renault 2 litre, and as we've seen, Oscar Nogues in EuroCup CLIO, the Spaniard crowned champion with a race to spare. Well, it was a hotly contested season. Jean-Pascal Dos, head of competition at Renault Sport, assesses the year and gives us an idea of what 2015 will look like.
C'est vraiment une catégorie où les gens sont portière contre portière.
It's really a category where the drivers go door to door, get in the slipstream, and there are battles all the time. We've got a super champion in Oscar Nogues who has won the title again and who has shown again that he's a very good driver. Next season we'll do a grand finale with all the national CLIO Cup competitions, and we will no longer have the EUROCUP CLIO in place. The decision has been made for various reasons and to leave space for the arrival of a new car which needs track time, the Renault Sport RS01. The RS01 was presented in public for the first time. It's a racing car which will be much talked about in 2015. The new Renault Star has a remarkable 500 horsepower Nissan engine and is the fruit of collaboration between Renault Design and Renault Sport. Aerodynamics play a very important role because we need to respect the fact that the car needs to be rapid. It's not a question of style. It's a question of marrying engineering to style. That's why we said this car is the marriage between a concept car and a racing car. Air is let in where it is necessary, and air is extracted when necessary too. It's also a question of the silhouette of the car, which has excellent grip and sticks to the track. The diffuser and the aerodynamics ensure this is the case. RS01 is not a concept car for competing in, it's a car with real sporting credibility. Alain Prost seems impressed and already wants to improve it. I'm very sensitive to the beauty of the car and its design. It's a really beautiful car. The interior is top because even if it's a bit hot inside, it's very ergonomic. It's really good to drive. The goal here is not to post quick times, but still, it was useful for me to see how it handled and to speak to the engineers because this is the beginning of the development phase. I think it's a car which will be driven by professional and amateur drivers alike, and you have to make both categories happy. In my role, it's absolutely indispensable to climb into a car such as this from time to time. After that, it will be easier to speak to other drivers and teams, as when I'm talking strategy to them, at least I'll know what I'm talking about. Renault's ambition is to make 20 cars available to teams for 2015. The rules will be innovative and the World Series by Renault will be shaken up a bit to welcome the RS01 competitors. Professionals and amateurs alike will race with one set of new tyres. There'll be a qualifying session and then a solo sprint in the car. The real gauge of performance will be there, but as it's also a team sport, they have to compete in Pro-Am together. We'll have an endurance race on the Sunday where they'll be together, and there'll be a separate standings for that. The big news thing is that as the pros and the amateurs will have their solo thing, and the prizes are fantastic with the 24 hours of Le Mans in LMP2 and a test in Japan with Nismo in Super GT for the pro. On the Sunday, they'll race together, and there it will be strategic as they do their stints, and the prizes will be more classic: tyres, spare parts and money. A V6 500 horsepower with a ravaging look is going to make the RS01 desired and provoke jealousy from others. The way it corners and brakes is really incredible. That's what impressed me the most. Maybe if I keep calm, then in 2 or 3 years I'll be able to drive it.